Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and today is the next to the last day. It's the 30th of July in 2023, and the reading that I have that goes with the sermon is from Psalm 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. I ran across a Gallup poll this last week of what institutions Americans trust and how much they trust them. Turns out Gallup has been keeping tabs on Americans' level of trust in 14 different institutions for the last several decades. And so Gallup notes that in its latest report that during the pandemic, trust in the medical system went up. But then following the pandemic, there was a big drop, 9 percentage points in 2 years, in confidence in many institutions in the United States, including the medical system. Who or what do Americans trust these days in the midst of all of the rage and the denigration that we see in the media? The issue really is trust. And when we mistrust the other guys, all kinds of conspiracy theories raise themselves because we don't know what those people might be doing, those people we don't trust. On top of the list of people who are trusted are small businesses. 70% of Americans have a great deal or a lot of confidence in small businesses. It's at the top of the list of American institutions that have the confidence of the people. Next comes the military. So the top was 70% for small businesses. 69% of Americans have a great deal or a lot of confidence in our military establishment. It's the second most trusted institution in the United States. The police come third, with 51% having a great deal or a lot of confidence in the police. And then comes the medical system with 44%, the presidency with 37%, and established religion, which is tied with the presidency at 37%. From my perspective, that's a lot of people who don't have much confidence in churches. I guess we should feel lucky to score 6th in a list of 14 institutions instead of 14th. It could be worse. We enjoy more confidence and trust than the Supreme Court, than banks, public schools, large tech companies, organized labor, newspapers, the criminal justice system, big business, and television news. And do you know what placed last in the Gallup poll of institutions that Americans trust? Congress, with 12% confidence in Congress for what it's doing or not doing. Gallup found confidence declined significantly for 11 out of the 14 institutions from 2021 to 2022. And that includes the criminal justice system and police and the medical system and public schools. Confidence declined in all categories from 2020 to 2022. There was an average slide of 9%, and that's a loss of a lot of confidence across the board. We don't trust the way we used to. The COVID virus seems to have eroded our trust somewhat, as well as removing our ability to taste and smell. I know the pandemic eroded participation in everything from bowling leagues to Camp Discovery to churches by about 30%. That's what we have lost, in addition to 9% confidence. But more importantly, our perceived trustworthiness has been eroded in the last year or two. Now, Warren Bennett, now I don't know who Warren Bennett is, but this is what he had to say, and it was a pretty good quote, so I borrowed it. Trust is the lubrication that makes it possible for organizations to work. I'm going to read that again. Trust is the lubrication that makes it possible for organizations to work. So the pandemic has hurt us. It forced people out of the habit of being with other people in public situations. After all, during the pandemic, getting together with other people could kill you. But that's no longer the case, and we're trying to rebuild. Hopefully, we've been through the lowest point, and we're on the way up, although COVID still will pop up here and there. But in these days of anger and rising mistrust, what do we do to rebuild confidence in our church? I have some thoughts. First of all, my best definition of church is this. Church is the place where one beggar tells another beggar where to find bread. I'm going to read that again. Church is the place where one beggar tells another beggar where to find bread. Now, what nourishes you about your church affiliation? The friendship and the trust among the children of God? If that's what nourishes you, I encourage you to share it with others whom you think might also be nourished by the same thing. When someone I know and trust shares what's meaningful to them, I listen. You can't wait for the preacher to preach the perfect sermon before you invite people. That would be a long wait. We need to invite. We need to share where and how we have found nourishment. Secondly, we need to have a mission, a focus, a direction. It might be feeding the hungry, it might be senior citizens, it might be grief groups, it might be support for young people. The people of God are not a mutual admiration society. They help others who are in need. They give. That's what may attract others to join us in helping with the helping. And third, we need to be respectful of human emotions. Each of us brings a constellation of history and feelings along with us when we arrive at worship on Sunday. We might be angry with God. We may feel the need of forgiveness or feel the need to forgive others. We may need to be perceived as competent and worthy. We may have really powerful fears or, on the other hand, heart-wrenching if-onlys. Whatever it is, it's not trivial stuff. This is important. And we need to respect each other's feelings. It's what we do as children of God. We build each other up. It's time for us to begin the next chapter of who we're going to be. We are not a club. We are the children of God. And that's what we say. How will we build the trust in our community so that others will want to be part of what we have going on? I'm going to share some quotes in closing that may get us thinking. Simon Sinek says this. I don't know who Simon Sinek is either. Trust is built on telling the truth, not telling people what they want to hear. And Simon again says this. A team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. Thomas Moore says, we need people in our lives with whom we can be as open as possible. To have real conversations with people may seem like such a simple, obvious suggestion, but it involves courage and risk. Peter Remnant says this, relationships of trust depend on our willingness to look not only to our own interests, but also to the interests of others. Now, God bless you. If this is of some meaning to you, I would hope that you would pass it along, share it. And God bless you. Take care. See you next time.